And I'll tell you this much, I am happy for it because once the new people come in, I'm back to reading those Batman comics and see them trying to clean up the mess he made. And
I
with
guess
that
with
said,
yep, and with that, I guess we should say thanks for the long intro. With that, this is the Hack Jack
yeah,
Show,
I had to get it out of the way, kind of to vent. And everyone, welcome to the Hack Jack Show. I am the ever, nah, I'm sorry. I am the ever forgetful and genuinely beautiful Hack.
and I am the oh so tilted today, Jack.
What's got you tilted in a frenzy, Jack? Come on, lead us in. We gotta actually don't lead us in because we got a much short episode today. Not much from our ends, so this is gonna be much not as n- not as content rich as our last two episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So just letting you guys know, and thankfully it'll be a lot less work for me as I edit these podcasts or lack of editing. So with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and give Jack the spotlight because he's gonna give us his uh not full on reviews but kind of impressions that he had on two certain games that he's played. So I'm gonna go ahead and give the mic to Jack.
All right. So lately, this past week, I've been playing. Well, only for one of them for the past week, I played Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the beta. It was the open beta that was free for everyone to play. And let me give you first my thoughts on that one, then I'll reveal what the other one was. So, from the open beta, keep in mind this is coming from a person that doesn't particularly like the Call of Duty multiplayer aspect or the story until like before the World War era Call of Duties. Like after World War era Call of Duties and where it became a little bit too advanced in technology, I just didn't like them anymore. So playing this game, playing Modern Warfare, I think it was pretty good. I mean, sure, it had some issues, certainly with in some aspects, depending on the map and depending on how the enemy team is, you can get spawn killed, but that's very rarely. Very rarely happens. It's more of a my fault of not getting good. The gunplay is amazing because of course it still retained that arcade shooter that everyone loves, especially with how most of the guns itself. Sometimes I feel like most of the guns themselves have no recoil whatsoever. I'm not sure if that's just the way how I manage recoil because of games like Rainbow Six, but in this game, the recoil is non-existent. Keep in mind, I'm not really that great in this game. I've only gone as far as getting a cruise missile, so you can tell from that how good I am at getting streaks. But I do keep my own in the battlefield. I get on average a 1 point something on KDA. Still not great, but it's decent. As a casual player, when it comes to Call of Duty, I think it was pretty fun. The There is some problems with, for me particularly, this is just me trying to find. I just don't like the mics, the audio. It does not sound good. And this is coming, of course, from a hypocrite, meaning because my audio quality for this video is garbage.
Hey now, at least when look at your audio file, at least it's in stereo. Mine's in mono.
Ooh.
At least you got that going for you. But I'm actually surprised that that's an issue for you. That's an issue for the game. I assume.
Well, it's not audio in the sense of the game, but audio in the sense of communicating with. I should have specified. It's communicating with the players.
What does it sound like how it used to be like on the 360 or something?
Yes. It sounds exactly like the bit rate you get from the Xbox 360, where it's just like you know how you talk when you ask someone when you order on drive-throughs and you hear how they talk like in there. That's how it sounds like.
Oh, you sure that's not just because your whoever you're playing with just has crappy mics?
It could be that because I think from what I've noticed, not sure. I didn't really check. I should have checked, but there was cross-platform between PS4, PC, and Xbox. Either that or I was being shown some like different ways of getting controllers. Because when I was playing the game, it showed you who you're playing with and what they're using. And weirdly enough, it said most of them were PC players. And then there was the occasional Xbox symbol, but with the mouse on them. Or PS4 symbol, and they had a mouse too.
I'm just surprised there was actually PC players playing a Call of Duty game.
No, it's not that surprising. That's they there is a lot of people still playing Call of Duty, even on the PC.
Huh. I figured it was such like a much more bigger on like consoles that you'd be going to find more console players than PC ones. That's actually kind of
No,
surprising.
and I gotta say though, the servers are fantastic. I was getting ping an average of like 2 to 9 ms, 2 to 9 ping. For those of you that don't know how ping works, pretty much it's the delay from whatever the input or information you send from your computer to the servers. So, for example, if I have, let's say, 500 ping, I'll press the button to go forward and just tap it, and 2 seconds later, your character moves. As a gamer, everyone knows that that is terrible input lag. It's pretty much lag. Having 2 ping to 9 ping is pretty much having close to instantaneous information being sent. So those servers were pretty good. I'm not sure it's just because of if it's the size of people, like the amount of people that were playing the game. It was pretty good.
Well, at least had better servers than the Dragon Ball Fighters beta. Good lord,
Oh,
I still remember that day.
oh, you should have seen the Street Fighter Five. Remember that was?
I didn't participate in those, but I've heard about them. Oh lord.
You weren't? Did you not play it during launch? It
I did, but I actually didn't. But actually, it was okay on my end.
really for me, I
Yeah.
I guess because I was playing on PC, but it always crashed, saying that the servers were not working or something along those lines.
The, the only times this happened, I think the only times that has happened was when it was like clearly a rage quit.
Oh yeah, those make sense.
Yeah. So yeah, I was lucky in terms of that. But going back to Call of Duty, so all right. So far,
So far, I was actually pretty enjoying the game, especially the perk system. The leveling, I'm not sure if it's just because it's the beta, but the leveling was very quick. Every gun had its own ranking, or leveling. So whenever you did something like shoot a person, beat them down with the gun, it it leveled up your gun. And I saw this one crazy dude. He had a perk for his secondary weapon, and I think it was just literally called fast melee. And it's the fast melee was the equivalent of star platinum, just punching someone.
good lord.
And it only takes 2 hits to kill someone. So,
So
you,
oh yeah, that's Star Platinum Army.
so in this video, the guy went behind enemy lines. He then there was 4 people in one room, all trying to shoot one hallway, because this hallway was kind of like a chokehold between the two teams. and the guy just literally oda his way through all of them. They just did not notice him beating everyone up because it was just that quick.
All right. So now, actually, is it like literally him punching or just him using the knife really fast?
No, it's him punching with the gun. He,
Oh, okay, I
the
see.
gun he was using was a shotgun, so he was like whipping people with the shotgun, but like the butting them with the butt of the gun.
Dang, he must have click. He must be clicking the R3 button as fast as he could.
You can set it up for a quick button. It could be like any other button.
Oh, yeah, like oh, I'm thinking too narrow here. I'm thinking like I'm assuming he's playing on console, but no, I'm thinking too narrow. You know what? It just occurred to me.
What?
So you said it was cross-platform, right?
Yeah, or at least
Is
what
that
I
gonna?
thought it could be.
I'm. It's gonna be weird because I'm assuming that same thing when it launches. I wonder how those console players are gonna feel going against PC players.
Well,
I feel like it's gonna
I
be a
mean,
big disadvantage.
from what I've been seeing, the console players somehow had mouse and keyboard setup, which it's not that odd. You can literally just get a keyboard and a mouse and plug it into the USB part of your console. But still, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know I see people do that for FF14 on PS4,
Yeah, it's fun doing that.
but it's just like it is kind of weird. All right, I'm gonna play my PS4. Plugs in the keyboard and mouse. All right, I'm ready.
But yeah,
Or you-
for me, just to give it a general star rating, I guess out of five, I would give it in the multiplayer aspect. Hmm, I would
during
say a 4.5 out of 5.
I knew it. 0 out of 5 stars. I knew you were gonna say that. How
The
dare you?
reason why I say 4.5 out of 5 is because there are some guns that are just literally god awful, which makes you question why are they even in the game. But I'm pretty sure there's gonna be some people out there that's gonna be like, no, every gun's good, and maybe I'm just terrible.
You're not using it right, man. You gotta make sure you gotta kind of line it right below the center, and there you go. That's how you use it.
But yeah, I had a good experience with the Call of Duty Modern Warfare open beta. Hopefully, the story is gonna be good. I'm probably not gonna buy it right off the bat during launch day, but maybe one day when it's on sale, I'll buy it.
You know what you should do to really test out the limits of the beta?
Mm-hmm.
You should do what a YouTuber I knew who did, where I kid you not, during like the early days of Overwatch, he would use a combination of keyboard and controller.
Why?
He felt that he wasn't to clarify this person, he was not used to peace. He was not used to first person shooters. So he found a way that worked for him so that he could feel like still using the regular controller while it's using a PC, the keyboard. And I think it was he used the keyboard to move,
Mm-hmm.
and he uses kind of the right side of the controller to aim and to shoot. And
Weird.
literally, yeah, and he was legitimately able to play Overwatch as the kind of like the game was pretty much switching in between two control styles like per frame.
Weird.
You should try that. Maybe it might work for this beta.
No, the beta's done. It's done already.
Oh, well, maybe you could try it try it on Siege. See if it works on Siege.
Oh god, no, I'm not gonna try that. That's way too different. No. But anyways, that is currently
uh,
my perspective on the open beta for Modern Warfare. There was no, sadly, I didn't get anyone or seen anyone get a high enough KD to or kill streak to get the nukes. But yeah,
all right, then now comes the one that Jack really wanted to talk about. So Jack,
all right.
tell us what you think of Mario Kart Grand Tour.
Alright, so first of all, that's just the nickname I'm giving it. The
I
actual
know.
bit.
I
No,
like.
I'm explaining it to the audience. Alright, so the name of the game is Mario Kart Tour. It came out just today, the 25th, on the mobile phone. I just call it the Mario Kart Grand Tour because I feel like this is going to be one of those games where it's going to be the black sheep and unliked one, like as Dragon Ball GT. Mario Kart Grand Tour, welcome to the Grand Tour.
Talking about G. Wait, hold on. I'll
Mario
just
Kart
stop there. I don't want to get
GT.
copyright strike. I don't want to get copyright strike.
Alright, so here is.
I'm.
So here's how the game works. Okay, everyone expects, or at least most of you out there that haven't tried the game yet, would expect it to be a. I'm gonna use like artist terms landscape, meaning you're holding your phone sideways and you're driving the car like that, right? I mean that's what everyone would think, right? Kind of like a
That's
wheel.
what most racing games on mobile games are have it usually.
Yep. Except no, it's not like that at all. You have your phone like how you usually hold your phone. The controls, it's either gives you two settings. The first one is simple, which I don't. It doesn't really explain it well. I guess pretty much it's. I guess it's just like it's somewhat auto does the turns for you. Somewhat.
Does
Like it's kind of like it helps you out on the corners.
Oh, okay. Is it one of those where pretty much all you have to really worry about is just accelerating, and it kind of does the turns for you?
You don't even accelerate.
Oh, so that it just helps with you like with the
Oh
turns you
look,
gotta
there's
drift or
gyro
something.
handling now. I see it right here. But what's the point? So here's you can do this the little steering with your hand thing, but it's gonna be cumbersome because it's not like how you usually have it hold out with your phone sideways. You're gonna have it upright. I don't I don't know. I don't like the aspect of doing something like that. But anyways, so that's how
There's
this is how it
there's
works, huh?
there's a boomer joke in here somewhere. I just can't find it. Go on.
So pretty much the ways you're gonna steer is from left to right, and depending on if you use simple or drift mode, which I use drift mode, uh, basically you tilt it, you swipe it left, and you hold it left towards the left. You're pretty much drifting left. If you swipe it right and holding it, you're drifting to the right. Simple. You don't accelerate at all. The only initial acceleration you have is on the 3, 2, 1 count. And that's if you, for example, you know how when you start off on the 3, 2, 1 count, you try to find that sweet spot to start up to rev up your engine.
Hmm.
That's the only part you can do like a big acceleration on the rev up. Other than that, that's it. The game autopilots the speed for you. You'll slowly start speeding up yourself. Now for the
Am I
items.
too? Okay. I'll ask my question at the end. Go ahead.
The items, they're like all the items you have from the previous games. The one problem I have is during specific race races, specific race maps, there are some characters that have the upper advantage than other characters. And the way it does it is, for example, let's say I'm in one of the Mushroom Cup maps. Maybe they have it ranked up from 3, 2, and 1 items. That's how they have it ranked. So for every let's say for every little cube you get, If your driver is on the 3 items, you get 3 items out of that cube. So let's say it's Mario, Peach, and Toad. Mario's the 3 items. If you pick Mario as your racer, you get, whenever you hit the cube, you get 3 items. If you have Peach as the racer and you hit the cube, you get 2 items. If you have Toad as the racer and you hit the cube, you get 1 item.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, keep going, keep going. I got a lot of thoughts here now.
Alright. So then from there you have you pick your race car, and that one just gives you bonus points. So that one's simple, I guess. That's fine. I'm fine with that. Bonus points as in like just a numerical value. As long as just a numerical value, that's fine. Same with the glider, just a numerical value. Then from there, the game itself is very short. It's only 2 laps, and so this is the one difference I had that was from the beta, at least from what I heard. At least from what I heard from the beta, you had fuel or energy you can consume. It's like only five rounds, or like 5 laps you can do. Sorry, 5 races that you can do before it has to recharge the fuel and you have to wait a bit. This time it's unlimited. You can keep playing as long as you want. Now here's the one thing some people might be asking. How do you get these other drivers, or the pretty much the rest of the Mario Kart cast? Because I think you only start off with one. I'm not sure if it's random or a set, but if it's set, you get Toadette first. If it's set. If it's not, then you get yourself one free, then play 2 more laps, you get another one free. This game is a gacha game. If you don't know what a gacha game is, for those of you that aren't familiar with these terms, it's a game where pretty much you play it, you gain either premium currency, which is like in game, like real life money. You pay, like for example, gems. You get premium money or premium currency, and you spend it on think about it like as a what was those things called? The little machines. Help me out here.
Slot machines?
No, like the little ones where the capsule machines.
Oh, like those toy
Yeah,
machines where you put like a quarter in, and you turn it
pretty
around.
much those. A capsule machine, or where you put the quarter in, you turn the thing and see what you get. That's a gotcha game.
Yeah.
So the good thing is it tells me right here what the percentages are. So if you want a specific character for this current right now, which is the New York pipe. Yeah, it's called the New York pipe. For the high end spotlight, which is I guess the highest rating, this one's Pauline from the newest game of the Mario Odyssey. It's a 1.04% chance of getting Pauline. Same with her Yellow Taxi and the Fair Flyer. If you want to get Dry Bowser, it's a 0.2% chance. Same with Metal Mario and Peachette and Mario Musician. 0.2%.
Point. Wow.
To get
Wow.
Donkey Kong, Toad, Bowser, Mario, Peach, Yoshi, Daisy, Diddy Kong, and Toadette, those are like a 1.04% chance. And Koopa Trooper, Dry Bones, Baby Daisy, Baby Mario, Baby Peach, and Shy Guy, those are 5% chance.
Oh, I see. Make the characters you actually want. I see how it is now.
The characters you actually want are pretty much lower percent chance, so they make you want to spend more money. And this is what I hate. the rubies, the premium currency. Here's the like transaction conversion. For 3 rubies, 3 of them, it's $2. All right. A one use in the pipe is 5 rubies.
So you had to so you had to spend about $4 just to use them.
Use one pipe. Now, 10
Ooh.
rubies is $6. 23 rubies is $13. 48 rubies is 27. 93 is 50. 135 rubies is 70.
Oh, they really want those whales, do they?
To fire 10 pipes, which is 45 rubies, you have to pretty much be close to cough up $27. Oh, and that's not just getting only the characters. You might have a chance of getting a car or a flyer. So to get an actual character is even lower of a chance.
Us having to spend more money just for the 1% and or less chance to get a character.
Oh, and here's the bundles they started off with. Here's the bundles. The New York set. This is the New York set. You get 45 rubies. The Mario driver. You actually get Mario. And 5 star tickets. I'm not sure what the star tickets do right now, but I'll find out sooner or later. All that for $20. And here's the one thing that's gonna get you real mad.
Hit me.
Alright, so for $5 a month, subscription already,
Oh God. Oh
subscription,
no.
you get gold gifts by racing in the tours, earn badges from gold challenges, and you unlock the 200cc races. You can't even play 200cc without it, apparently. At least from what I think. if if it works as I think it's gonna work, you're gonna be stuck either playing 50cc or 100cc. And for those that don't play
There's
Mario Kart, the CCs mean how fast the game is.
there's no 150cc option.
There is, but I'm not sure if I can unlock it right now.
Uh, oh wow, Nintendo's really are setting themselves for failure, aren't they?
Yep.
Okay. Any more you gotta say before I kind of want to give my thoughts on the matter?
Let's see. I think I'm missing one thing, and I feel like it's something very important.
Oh, that's right. Is the racing actually worth it?
Oh, the racing. It's somewhat fun, but at the same time, if you think about how there are some characters that have a bigger advantage over you in terms of items, it kind of takes away the fun because who knows, maybe you're playing the one character that can only use one item. You get 3 mushrooms, you're now speeding ahead. Then it turns out this one guy that had the 3 items has mushrooms, a red shell, and probably, let's say, a squid or a green shell.
I see now. I see. Oh, maybe this. Does the game look
The
nice?
game looks nice. It controls terribly, especially when you're
Oh,
having in drift mode, which is kind of sad, especially for a racing game.
oh God. Uh, okay, so anything more else?
No.
Okay. So before you give your rating for this game, first off, the item mechanic that is the stupidest crap I've ever heard. Oh God. Is it one of those things like kind of gotcha games where you get the to use Dragon Ball Dokkan Battle as an example, you got Common Goku, then Super Goku, then Super Rare Goku, then Super Rare Goku. Is it like that?
I mean, kind of because there is Mario, apparently musician Mario, Metal Mario, there's Bowser, Dry Bowser,
And do they all like hold different have different items they can hold?
depending on the race. Remember, it depends on the race. If one race calls for Mario having 3 items, maybe the next race will say that Mario has 1 item. It really depends. You can collect all. You can literally collect all the characters, and then when whatever race, whatever it will call for 3 items, you just pick that character. You can't even pick a character for fun.
So that's a stupid mechanic. I don't know what they were thinking about that one.
Money.
Oh, aside from the obvious. Number two, portrait mode. Why is the game the stupidest design for portrait mode? Portrait mode.
It would have been better to have even. It would have been better to just be like landscape or sideways for some people that don't know. Sideways,
What?
and one
What did?
side can be left, one side can be right when you tap on the buttons. That's it. That could have been good.
What did they expect people to play on big tablets or something? God dang.
I don't know.
Okay, they got your stuff. As it exists. They gotta make money somehow. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's worse gacha games out there from Japan that are more predatory. So I got, so I'm
I
like,
mean, I guess
it's a necessary
the
evil.
good thing is that it does stop people in a way. It because every time when I use the gotcha thing, because you get like I think 15 rubies for free, so I tried using it, and every time when I use the gotcha mechanic, it dropped down from 100 to out of 100 to 98, 99 out of 100, 98 out of 100. So I think you only have 100 uses. Either that or
Hmm,
there's only 100 things you can get, and that's telling you how many you're getting out of it.
okay. And well, and the worst part, I was hoping maybe that the racing will be like it's legitimately fun, but no, not even that. Not even that. Especially if certain characters had advantages on specific stages.
Yeah, it's somewhat fun, but if you start thinking about it, you're just like, why is this is not fair?
So you know what this all sounds like to me?
What?
It sounds like a great advertisement to get Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Nintendo Switch. By God, by golly, that's probably the best Mario
Stop.
game you can get
Stop it.
right now on
Stop
the
it right
market.
now. Don't be giving them
or, or,
sponsorship. We don't make money out of that.
or as an alternative, you can use the same phone that you have and just get ROM hacks of Super Mario Kart or Mario Kart 64.
That's what I've been doing. I have Double Dash on my phone.
So you could do so yeah, that sounds like great advertisement for those if you want to sell the high seas.
And the only game I actually play the claw hand grip there.
But okay, so yeah, there's no silver lining to this game. So tell me, Jack, what's your overall rating for this game?
So 1 out of 5.
Ooh, you went. You had like two extremes to go through. And the other game's not even technically finished.
Yeah,
Oh god. I guess Nintendo really learned nothing from the beta besides like we got
they learned
the
nothing
fuel,
from Mario Run.
which is sad because eventually they actually learned their lessons from Mario Run.
Oh
Oh
well.
well, that's what you get. That's what you get when you got a Japanese company that have always managed to mess up their online services.
Yeah.
They haven't. I'll say this about Nintendo. The Wii Shop was probably their best online thing they've ever made, and and nothing has surpassed that ever since.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, so thanks for the reviews, Jack. And I'm gonna go ahead take over, and I want to mention this article briefly before we go to a kind of a main discussion that I want to kind of enlighten Jack about. And I'm gonna be reading off not reading off, but the article that we're referencing is from Gamatsu.com, and it's entitled "Sony Interactive Entertainment Joins Forces with the United Nations to Combat Climate Change." Now, personally, for me, there's already a bunch of red flags there, but that goes too political, so I'm not gonna mention that. What's gonna be the important matter here, though, is what exactly does is mean for Sony.
Hmm.
So, in the article itself, they release a full announcement from the um, Sony Interactive Entertainment president and CEO, uh, and reads his full statement on what it means with Sony joining the UN initiative. Now, I'm going to here quote some specific parts, some parts of his statement. So, in reference, so where we right here is this. We believe that careful stewardship of natural resources is of the utmost importance and are aligned with the mission and objectives of UN Environment. Earlier this year, they created a new Youth and Environment Alliance and quickly realized partnering with the video game industry would help them reach their sustainable development goals. At SIE, Sony Interactive Entertainment, we have made substantial commitments and efforts to reduce the power consumption of the PS4 by utilizing efficient technology such as system on a chip architecture, integrating a high performance graphics processor, die shrink, power scaling, as well as energy saving mode such as suspend to RAM. For context, we estimate the carbon emissions we have avoided to date already amount to almost 16 million metric tons, increasing to 29 million metric tons over the course of the next 10 years.
Oh, nice.
Now, that sounds, you know what, this could sound nice because my PS4 sounds like a freaking jet engine every time it turns on.
Yeah, it does.
I need, I need to probably get that looked at pretty soon because I definitely don't want to invest in a PS4 Pro. But so So on the surface, I think without having to go to the UN thing, I think it's better overall. That sort of like, you know what? Let's kind of make sure our top of the line console doesn't try to draw so much energy to the point that it becomes a
Oh,
nuisance.
also,
So I can
let me add in
commend them
something.
for that.
Let me add in something.
Go ahead.
So,
Go ahead.
uh, first of all, for some of you, it's actually when I'm reading another article, and this is because I remember Xbox doing this too. It's including both Sony and Microsoft. They're both working together on getting their best practices on becoming more environmentally friendly. While Sony's going the energy consumption route, Xbox is actually going with something more about hardware wise. With the Xbox, Microsoft is launching a pilot program to make 825,000 carbon neutral Xbox consoles, meaning that most of the hardware that they're going to be using or making is going to have less carbon based stuff in it. That could be I'm not sure how that's going to affect the quality of the computer or oh, I'm sorry, console, but we'll see how that goes.
And but so overall, that sounds nice. You know, we can get better hardware that not only improves upon the last iteration, but also doesn't require as much electricity. But then the president goes on to say this statement that makes me kind of be like, hold on a second. It gives me second thoughts. Uh, Near the end of the statement, he says this. Our commitments are not only related to hardware and operations, we are also keen to help inform people interested in sustainability goals. We have committed to working with the industry and climate experts to develop reference information for use by game developers that wish to include sustainability themes in games. In addition, we will investigate potential PSVR applications that can raise awareness of climate issues and climate experts. And to kind of move on over here, to kind of skip ahead, his last statement. There is an undeniable opportunity for leaders in the game industry to take a stand and support the UN environment team by communicating the importance of preserving natural resources for generations to come. At PlayStation, we believe games have the power to ignite social change through educating people, evoking emotions, and inspiring hope. And I'll stop right there. So, on the surface, that doesn't sound like much anything to be like questionable.
Mhm.
But when I really think about these statements, especially when it comes to number one here, when they said we have committed to working with the industry and climate expert to develop reference information for use by game developers that wish to include sustainability themes in games.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too deeply here because I could be totally wrong in how I view this. But it sounds like that Sony might impede UN regulations of how games are developed.
Maybe. Who knows? But
That's what I'm.
actually,
That's what I'm. That's what I'm getting here.
let me see this right here because I'm looking down more in the article. It actually gives information of what other people are doing. So Sony is doing the low power. Microsoft's doing the Xbox consoles, trying to make it carbon neutral. Google Stadia says that they're going to be doing a sustainable game development guide for developers to help them implement green nudges into the gameplay. But again, it is unclear what this means. Supercell, or the ones that made Clash of Clans, will work on the carbon impact initiatives to help offset the carbon impact of players charging their mobile phones. Wildworks, that made Animal Jam, integrates restoration elements in their games. They will also plant trees around the world. Green Man Gaming, which is a website that sells game keys, will plant trees. Ubisoft will launch in-game green themes in unspecified titles and will look for source materials for eco-friendly factories. Football Manager creators will start recycling alternative for future Football Manager games that will eliminate 20 tons of plastic packaging. Creative Mobile, their game Zoocraft will transition to become a conservation focused game. Reliance Games, the studio will offer in-game event across India. I Dream Sky, again green nudges. I'm not sure what that means. Let's see, Twitch, the actual website that live streams, the they'll spread messages about climate change and global gaming community. And Niantic, which is the one that made Pokemon Go, and I forgot what was the other game, will engage their community to act around sustainability issues. So yeah,
I don't know. Hearing all that, it makes me feel like that Sony and a lot of other bigger tech companies and developers are pretty much are gonna try to really push this whole uh, climate issue into gaming, which I find odd.
I mean yeah, but at the same time, we have been having big issues with the climate itself, with a bunch of forest fires and stuff.
Actually, funny, you know that turned out to be false.
Which one?
The Amazon forest fire.
Really? How?
Yeah. I saw an interview with the oh, I forgot. Uh, with the Brazilian.
President?
No, no, not president. Uh, I forget the actual title,
Prime
but
Minister? I don't know.
says pretty much he handled all the environmental the he looks over the environmental happenings going on in Brazil,
Mm-hmm.
and he has stated, now, of course, he could be lying through his teeth, but he has stated that you know they are that the government of Brazil has been overlooking the Amazon, and there's no forest fires going on.
But what about all the actual news coverage where it shows the forest fires?
Who says that was from this year? It
Mm.
could have happened, but it is yeah. It's just something to just learn about. But going back to here, so like I said, at the surface, it could be just nothing. I don't want to be wrong. It could be just nothing, but it just feels strange that aside from hardware, which I completely understand, that a lot of all of these tech companies are really trying to push uh this whole uh this whole climate change thing into gaming to the point that they'll include climate change themes in games. And not to say the others can't do that, he definitely can. They're very right to. But it just I don't know, it's just kind of find it odd.
Let's all put on our
And
tinfoil hats. I don't know. It's just like it
and
seems a little bit too paranoia for me to think about it like that. But I could see what you mean that it's very sudden that this is happening.
and as well and as well the fact that the UN is involved and it's not just kind of Sony doing this on their own or any of these tech guys doing it on their own. They're doing this under the UN.
Well, to be fair, the you
Kind of kind of raises my paranoia a little bit. But that aside, but that aside, I am glad that that they're gonna Sony and Microsoft are gonna be at Nintendo's level in which they're like, hey, yeah, we'll release a system that doesn't draw too much power and is be very nice instead of these freaking jet engines that we've been getting.
took them forever while Nintendo's already ahead of them.
Yep,
Nintendo's ahead of it.
pretty much.
It's the future generation Nintendo.
I haven't heard my Switch going, my Wii ever going. Just saying. Anyway, just something I want to mention. I admit I could be just paranoid about it, looking at things that aren't there. But who who knows? Maybe Sony will do a green console and do some fun charity thing.
No, if
That could
Sony
all
does
get
that, then they might as well call it the Xbox.
limit. Xbox turns black. I don't know. All right. So with that done, I'm gonna go into my main discussion, the discussion point. So what I'm talking about all comes from an article that I found on bleedingfool.com,
Hmm.
and which is most comics, which is a comic site, but they do also report on other entertainment mediums.
Hmm.
But in this particular article that I found, was more of an opinion piece, but it did got me thinking about other things. And this article is entitled "Here is What Really Killed Comics" by Brian Nemier. I think I best pronounced that. Yeah. And this article came out yesterday. So as I'm reading this, I was reading it kind of thinking that either this was either something that was like some exaggerated person's opinion, or they just going more over kind of what's going on in the comic industry.
Hmm.
It turned out to be more than that. It turned out to be something that is a lot bigger than just bad business decisions that Marvel and DC are doing right now.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna read. So I'm gonna read this paragraph. I'm gonna read this paragraph right here to get things started. So so to start off, everyone has a different theory on what is kind of killing or has already killed comics.
Hmm.
So that's the context as about what I'm about to say. Everyone has a pet theory, but few notice that none of these explanations are mutually exclusive. The comics industry has become like an elephant in the dark. Fans and marginally interested social commentators alike are groping it, searching for a definitive cause of death. Perhaps comic fans don't really want to know. The stage magician's audience want to believe there are comics behind their ears. Like an onlooker who happened to see the koi hidden in the magician's palm, I have come into the knowledge of how the deed was done. Here's what really killed comics. First, some necessary background. A close friend, which the writer calls him Research Guy, has over the past few months embarked on an innocent quest to rebuild the long lost comic book collection of his youth. He created a spreadsheet of back issues he wished to buy going back to the 50s. For For easier identification, Research Guy added notes to his list highlighting any significant events which took place in a given issue. He gave pride of place to famous character introductions, the first appearances of important concepts, and inclusion in major storylines. Organizing many hundreds of comic books in this way yielded unexpected insights. Random Guy spotted a number of patterns running through almost all comic books within almost exactly the same time frames. It was as if the comics industry as a whole had an overarching life cycle.
Mhm.
And this is the life cycle that the Research Guy identified while doing this uh doing his collection. Number 1, Growth, 1960s. Iconic new characters debut regularly. Major concepts that will shape continuity introduced. Universe defining events frequently take place. Number 2, Maturity. This is from the 1970s to the 1980s. Introduction of new ideas tapers off as series hit their stride. Eventful individual issues still common. Number 3, Stagnation, late 80s, early 90s. Writing quality declines. Increased reliance on gimmicks to drive sales. This includes replacing beloved icons with diversity doppelgangers and first signs of wokeness. Number 4, Decay, mid 90s to mid aughts. Narrative wasteland in which nothing of consequence happens for years. The worst aspects of sales gimmicks and nascent wokeness combine in the following pattern: iconic character killed off, series reboot with a new issue number 1, often replacing venerable lead with diversity character. Original numbering and lead character Crowley brought back a few months later. And lastly, number 5, Death Shambling Zombie status, which is now.
Mhm.
Now and as well, and and as well, there is also another, which is also another timeline that another individual that this writer cites that goes through that, and guess what? It outlines the same pattern. In this case, it specifically underlines Marvel's history in terms of comics,
Mhm.
in which in the 60s, that's when we get all the great characters and all the new ideas. By by the 70s, we kind of have the characters growing, and that's where important events starts to happen, like the death of Gwen Stacy.
Mhm.
By the 80s, late 80s, things are things are going, or the writing has starting to taper off, and you get to the point where that that no matter how much of a significant story happens, that the characters are not really going to change. They're all going to have a status quo.
Mhm.
And then by the early and then by the early 90s, pretty much writing has not improved at all, and characters are stuck in limbo of who they are. And then by the late 90s, they try to do everything all again, and ignore everything that's come by, and try to start over
Mhm.
until, in Marvel's case, they start becoming bankrupt and start getting a new owner,
Mhm.
meaning Disney. So, there is a lot more going into the article, so I actually do would like people to actually go out and read this, because there's a lot more that I'm not uh, talking about. But to su- pretty much to summarize is that comics, ever since probably the mid 80s, has been going to a downward trend. And unfortunately, there's no way to kind of stop that or to improve it. And this is due to great many of factors, not just the fact that comic books, that a lot of modern comics are just either unreadable or just kind of a slog to go through. Jack, let me ask you
Mhm.
this:
All right.
When was the last what was the last book you read in full?
Last book,
That you read in full?
high school.
Right. How much reading did you do in high school that wasn't a class assignment?
A lot, actually. I always.
Discount
Uh huh.
discounting manga.
No, that I actually read books.
All right. All right. All right. Just want to clarify for the audience, so they don't think that we're just only stick to the geeky stuff. All right. Now, you can say that for yourself.
Mhm.
Generally, as Jack and I have witnessed, not a lot of teenagers would read at all.
Well, nowadays.
It's been like is I well I've always seen that.
Well, for
Just
my,
reading in general as a trend.
I guess so because actually, when you put it that way, there was for me at least when I look at it now, there was a lot more people, and when we were in high school that read books, there was a lot more people that read books. You always saw someone with a book with them. Now, since I'm a substitute, I see all the high schoolers nowadays what they have on them. I only see their binders, meaning they never get books at all. And one time there was a since it's early in the semester, people from every class they're getting their books. I heard one of the teachers say they don't even the kids don't even get books anymore. They just sit there on their phones.
Right. And in this graph I'm looking at, which says the rise and fall of the Marvel Universe, I noticed that the downward trend started in the mid 80s. Now, reading books used to be as a pastime that lot of people, a lot of people did back then. So let me ask you, Jack. Think mid 1980s, so from 1985, 84 to like 90. What was something that came on the scene that that became huge
Hmm.
for children?
Well, wasn't that the start of gaming culture itself?
Not the start of gaming culture, but that's when video games made a big comeback.
I didn't think comeback. I think it was just like actual start because that's when.
N- no, because Pong machines and Atari machines were sold in the late 70s, early 80s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and there was already a gaming culture there. It's just that it started to reach a huger mass appeal when the Nintendo Entertainment System
Hmm.
released. So, and from there, of course, gaming got extremely popular. Thus, many children, what used to be a pastime of reading comics was then replaced with something else. Again, that's just one aspect. It doesn't detail every single thing. That's just one aspect. So, as a whole, as a trend, especially for children's entertainment, which comics are, children become less in reading comics. In fact, it's a trend of children have been reading less now than they have been in the past 30 years.
Hmm.
And so, with comics, they're a big market, then suddenly shrinks down to just the hardcore fans. And now at this point, Marvel and DC are making so many decisions that alienate the hardcore fans that now that their market has shrunken even more. They can't appeal to they have lost the children due to just new technology.
Hmm.
Admittedly, comics is an outdated way of entertainment. I can admit that.
So
But not
just to
only
say.
that, they even have lost the a majority of the trust and the trust of even hardcore fans of their comics, especially when they made storylines that have either uh, dis- destroyed a character's reputation or that have just made uh, just baffling decisions. Great examples: when Spider-Man sold his marriage to Mephisto, when Captain America turned out to be a Hydra agent all along, Um, what else? S- uh, um, Civil War Two, where Captain Marvel was imprisoning heroes, and many other examples that I can't think of the top of my head. All those just kind of coming together and start to realize that with that court audience going down, there ain't much of an industry. And so with ain't much of an industry, a lot of the talent are gonna leave it because there's nothing for them. The talent leaves, thus you're stuck with either the people who are just decent or the people who are only good enough to make like a backup story or a filler story, and then now they're in charge of writing main storylines.
Hmm.
I and now I'm gonna give you a kind of a personal anecdote,
All
Jack.
right.
Last night I released a review of a Daredevil comic that I got. And it's an old issue. It's a very famous issue,
Mm-hmm.
Daredevil 181, written by Frank Miller. And to give you an idea who how special he is, Jack,
Mm-hmm.
this Frank Miller, he's the guy that wrote and drew The Dark Knight Returns.
Okay.
So he's a essentially legend in comic books. And when that one issue that I read of Daredevil, I kid you, I'm not exaggerating. In the video, I said surpassed almost everything in my
Mm-hmm.
collection. That issue of Daredevil came out early 80s,
Mm-hmm.
right before it came out early 80s, and in the graph that I'm looking
Mm-hmm.
at, that was where Marvel was at its peak since the 60s.
Huh. All right.
Their second highest peak. That's when you really were getting amazing stories from Marvel, and until it starts to go on a downward trend after that.
Huh. Interesting.
And so what this tells me, what I predict, is that as much as I hate to say it, is Marvel and DC don't care about comics and they're gonna let it die. At this point, the people who are doing it are essentially doing it because either that's the only thing they're good at, or they're hoping in vain that it'll lead them to something bigger. I kid you not. There's a lot of current writers who write for Marvel and DC, either just to be like, hey guys, look, I wrote for these big two companies, or they're hoping that this leads them to getting their own Netflix show.
Hmm.
They don't really care about the medium and the art of comics. As far as I know, is just a stepping stool.
Damn, that's kind of sad.
And so, and so because of that, just as mentioned in the article, we're at stage 5, death or just a zombie corpse.
And that just shows to you, guys, over there in the audience, if you're gonna be subscribed to this channel, subscribe to me.
Now, but that being said, nothing truly ever goes away, unless you know information on Hillary Clinton. I mean, did I say
Shots
that?
fired.
But but luckily, because comics has such like hardcore fans, and this goes, and you can see this within gaming that even if the major companies die out or they go away or they're no longer doing comic stuff, you have an incredible indie scene. And and Jack, yeah, I know for sure you have played a lot more indie games than me.
Mm-hmm.
Of those indie games, how many of them were were you like were you amazed of how much they either were up to par with the AAA game or sometimes even surpasses it in terms of pure entertainment and
Oh,
enjoyment?
many of them.
Exactly. That would I believe in the comics. That's where comics is gonna be leading to now, because I'm telling you, Marvel and DC right now they're just pretty much just selling their characters like what's the what is nice way to say this? They're saying them like whores.
And that's a nice way.
Yeah, that's a nice way to say
I
it.
mean,
You know?
I don't know if the YouTube might like that.
What are you talking about? I said hordes, not whores. You're crazy. I said hordes.
Ah, okay. My apologies.
Oh, his
I'm just
mind.
thinking wrong here.
Yeah, mine's always in the gutter. But yeah, pretty much, Marvel has the name Spider-Man, and they're gonna give Spider-Man to whoever can make money off of Spider-Man. And there's a whole bunch of evidence for that. So at this point, these companies exist just to hold the rights to these characters and make money off of everything except where the characters came from, comic books. That's all it is. But with the indie scene, though, and especially with it growing and me kind of getting more involved into more independent comics, at this moment, Jack,
Mhm.
there is one, two, three, four, five, six, seven indie comics
Mhm.
that I am looking forward to, all created by all crowdfunded, all of them with either either above amateur level quality or actual seasoned professionals. So it's gonna be sad because when the comics die, it's not gonna be something that's gonna be widely reported, and in fact, I bet you most people aren't even gonna know.
Will they die with dignity though?
Nope,
No.
nope. They're gonna they're gonna die. They're gonna die with the knowledge that for the last 5 years they made Captain America not a Nazi, turned the X-Men into legit villains, and and what would have been the happiest moment of Bruce Wayne's life, it's turned into one of the most low points in comic history, all because the writer has issues, or at least from what we can see. So to close off, I'll give kind of this warning that this is not just relegated to comics. This you can see this trend within almost every form of media. Animated cartoons, video games, movies. Just think about this, Jack.
Mhm.
Just going to movies. Here all the big movies that came out this year. Number 1, they were either sequels,
Yeah.
a remake, and that's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Avengers Infinity War, no, sorry, Avengers Endgame, biggest movie to come out this year, and the movie that made probably the one of the over $1 billion, the remake of The Lion King.
Yeah.
That tells you where Hollywood's creativity stands. If you look at animated shows, I mean, we okay, okay. Think this. Think this, Jack. When you were kids, at at the very least, we could watch shows like Static Shock,
Oh, I love that one.
Co- Codename Kids Next Door,
Mhm.
Kim Possible, what was it? Courage the Cowardly Dog, early SpongeBob,
Mhm.
to name off one more, uh, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, right?
Yep.
All of them have reasonable good quality. If we come to now, if we come to now, let's just focus on cartoon. Disney Channel rarely has any animated cartoons. And there was one that was reasonably popular, but it's over and gone with.
Hmm.
Cartoon Network,
I missed the old ones.
their biggest, their two biggest shows, um, are fundamentally flawed. Teen Titans Go being Teen Titans Go, and Steven Universe is his own whole jar of worms.
I saw that there was like a 2 hour video on why it was all garbage.
Now, now for those people who like Steven Universe, I mean, you do you, but would you say that show is as good as something like Foster's Home, of Avatar, or any of those shows within that era, maybe even a little older? That'll be hard to argue. And we look at Nickelodeon, they're still riding that SpongeBob train till death.
Oh, speaking of SpongeBob, just a little tangent.
Hmm.
They actually, for the US version at least, the UK version deleted this part. They made Squidward's not breathe anymore. Canon.
Wait, Squidward not what?
I can't say the word because the algorithm.
Oh, is that the one about the creepy pasta
Yeah, they
thing?
made it canon in a way. Basically, Squidward was opening doors, seeing multiple versions of
Yeah,
himself. He opens the last one
yeah,
and it shows like the hyper realistic eyes and stuff.
yeah, I saw that. I saw that. Even SpongeBob are just taking things from the internet and just put them into their show.
Hmm.
You get, that says a lot. And so to kind of close off, not much of a discussion, but another hack lecture.
Pretty
Unfortunately,
much.
um, everyone just if whatever hobby you like and you whatever hobby you like, go support the indie stuff because that's gonna be around much longer than than what than the main than the mainstream of it. It goes along with your hobbies in music, your hobbies in gaming, your hobbies in my case comic collecting. Go and really do support your independent creators because they're gonna make the stories. Excuse me.
It's getting emotional.
They're gonna make this. They're gonna make the stories. They're gonna make the games that you desire to play. While all the big companies are just gonna keep screwing everyone owner, everyone on the planet. I mean, uh, and I know that's with this Jack.
Hmm.
Based on last week's discussion regarding the whole Steam thing,
Hmm.
I mentioned it to my dad, and he said something that scared me.
What?
He said to me that it's possible that because of the whole EU thing, that games will then be changed to be just licenses that you have to pay yearly fees for just to play.
Yeah, I've already noticed that happening. Uh,
But any
yeah.
but any game, not big
No,
multiplayer
I
games, not
know.
free to play games, any game that
I
scares me.
know. You didn't think about that though?
I probably forgot about it, but kind of my dad helped me kind of realize
This
it.
gives you a slap in the face, right?
Yeah. So on on that note, everyone just go indie. That's gonna be the best thing for it for people who are enthusiasts of whatever thing you like. That's gonna leave you more happier at the end. And speaking of happy, Jack, what is your music recommendation for the
Oh
week?
dang, happy. I had one, but it's not so happy.
Well, at least it's happier than an entire industry dying or possibly dead.
All right, well, I'm gonna still try to look for happy. So just give me a moment, just to
All
give it
right.
a end it off in a good note. Mm, dang, I've never noticed how many sad songs I have, at least lyric wise.
If this is a doom metal band, I don't think you're gonna find much any happiness in that genre.
All right, so actually, This is not really I'm not sure how I could describe it in the sense of like lyric wise. It's not really. You just gotta listen to it. Let's go with this one. This one's from. Let me make sure it's the correct artist. Yep. The song's name is Mr. Fear by Siamese.
That is a metal as heck song,
It's
but I'm
not
guessing
metal.
it's like I figured. It sounds like it though. All right, so what is this? So tell us about this Mr. Fear for a moment.
Alright, so the song itself is it's from I would say close. You could call it indie band. Yeah, you could call it an indie band. For some reason it's not letting me pull up information because apparently iTunes has revamped their stuff while I was not looking inside the app itself. So let me see if I can give you a quick idea of what Siamese is. So Siamese themselves are a, I would say, indie electronic game. I'm still thinking of games here. Sorry guys, I'm a bit tired. I decided to skip out on my nap, so you can see why it's affecting me a bit.
That's why you come prepared, folks. You always come prepared.
I'm sorry, but
Unless you're Jack, then just give an excuse and oh, it's all forgiven. It's all forgiven.
well, it
I
works.
mess
All right.
with.
So Mr. Siamese, they're pretty much, as I would say, indie electronic in a way, but alternative. Depends on the music, on the songs they make. For me, my favorite ones are Mr. Fear and I think it was called The Wolf. Yep, Mr. Fear and The Wolf. Those things are my favorite songs. The Wolf is actually pretty good, especially if you look at the the music video. There is a lot of meaning through that music video. You just gotta have to look for it for yourself.
All right then, and just to repeat, everyone, that is Mr. Fear and the Wolf by the Siamese, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go check him out on iTunes or whatever your how you listen to music. All right, and with that said, finish. Jack, tell me what are you gonna be doing? What are you gonna be playing? What are you gonna be watching? Any what's gonna be going on?
Alright, so I am going to try to keep playing the Mario Kart Grand Tour for a little bit
Going
more,
to the Grand
just
Tour.
to see how if my taste of the game changes, and I'll let y'all know in the next podcast. I have been watching a little bit more of JoJo. I am somewhat sad at one episode. I'll talk to Hack about this separately from the podcast to avoid spoilers.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
And I'll keep watching more JoJo and try to play some more Osu. Just why not?
Why not, indeed. All right, and as for me, I'm going to be reading the new comics that I got this week. We'll post a few videos about them. Hopefully before this weekend. So at least the ones I find kind of interesting to at least review about. And lastly, we be trying out another new game for the Switch. This time, I'm gonna go a little bit retro. Well, retro-like, I should say, not completely retro. I'm gonna be playing Bloodstained: Curse of the Moon for the Switch.
Mm.
And actually, speaking of indie games, are you are you planning to play Bloodstain at all, Jack?
No, not really.
Not into the Castlevania type games.
Well, no, it's just like I don't know. It never piqued my interest.
Well, it has mine, and that's I'm already playing that one, which is not the actual Bloodstain game, but it's like a
Spinoff.
I don't actually yeah it's a weird it's a spin-off game that came out first before the main game. It's weird. But I played up just a bit of it, and my God, it's like it's Castlevania, man. It's it's pretty much Castlevania, which makes sense. It's the creator of the modern Castlevania games. He's the one responsible behind Bloodstain, so that makes sense. And so far, I'm digging it. I'm digging the I'm digging how much pretty much this game is a very much more nice, fluid, and hope and probably uh balanced take on Castlevania 3, which is the one where you can actually switch between characters and this which and you play through the levels individually, but you can change characters to kind of find secrets within each levels. So I'm gonna be playing more of that, and I think it might be a short game because guess what, Jack? The game doesn't have a save feature, I
Oh
think.
damn.
So it's meant to like a true NES game. You kind of have if you want to beat the game, you gotta do it in one sitting. And so I- and maybe I should have done this, but I've probably foolishly took the difficulty of veteran, in which I got a set number of lives and every attack knocks me
Good
back,
luck with that.
just like just like in the old games. Ah, well, I wanted to give myself a challenge. It can't be any worse than playing it can't be any worse than playing an old Mega Man
I
game. So
mean,
I think I can
I
handle it.
mean, you
I
couldn't
think I
even
can.
handle Dark Souls 2.
To be fair, I'm more accustomed to retro games.
Mhm.
I played Super Castlevania 4 when I was like 13, and I played Punch Out when I was 12. So I'm just kind of used to old school type games than all the new stuff and all the Souls type games. So that's just me. And as and with it, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much anything of significance I'm gonna do. Oh, almost forgot. I did see Rambo. Love it. Go watch it. You'll be entertained, especially towards the end. So, with that said and done, thank you very much for listening. So, as watching the HAC show. Don't forget to give us a like if you enjoy this podcast episode. Comment on your opinions and all the topics that we covered in here, and as well, uh, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you like our content. If you want to see more of us, and don't forget to ring the bell to be notified when our next video will be uploaded. With that said, everybody, this is Hack signing off.
Bye.
Damn!